name is Jessica Carrier, and I'm the Outreach and Education Manager with the Jo Daviess Conservation Foundation. So we're located kind of up in the northwest corner of Illinois in Jo Daviess County. So I don't know where you guys are watching from right now, but that's where we are, kind of northwest Illinois, right along the Mississippi River. Really cool place to visit here. So today I am going to teach you guys a little bit about owl calling and how to make some of these owl calls. So owls play a really important part of an ecosystem. They have a predator-prey relationship with a lot of parts of the ecosystem. Owls love to eat little rodents, and they eat a lot of things. They're kind of a major predator in a forested area. They all kind of have different habitats though. I want to show you real quick some of these owls here I have with me. You can see behind me that the owls behind me are kind of staring at you guys right now. So I just want to introduce you guys to these owls behind me. So the first owl we have here, this is a barred owl. He has really big eyes, and he has bars on his chest, and that's where he gets his name. So these like stripes that go vertically, it's a barred owl. So this is one species that is really common in the Jo Daviess County area. Another species that's really common is the great horned owl. So that gets its names from these tufts of feathers that are right at the top of its head. They kind of look like horns, but they're not, because owls do not have horns, but they have tufts of feathers that kind of look like horns. So that's a great horned owl. And then we also have another really common one in our area is the eastern screech owl. So this is a small owl that's about the size of your hand. So if you hold out your hand in front of you, that's about the size of an eastern screech owl. So all of these owls, they kind of have something in common. If you notice, all of these owls, they have really big eyes. If you had eyes as big as an owl, that would be about like if you had softballs for eyes. So if you go like this with your hands, that's how big your eyes would be if you were an owl. They have huge eyes in relation to the rest of their skull. I have an owl skull here to show you. You can see how big his eyes are. Look at that. It's like half the size of his brain. Now I'm going to cover up the area of the skull that the eyes would take up. And that's all that's left for a brain. So all of this space here is used up by the eye. These are huge eyes so they can see really well at night. So owls come out at night to catch a lot of their predators, and that's the time that they're most active. So owls come out at night. Another cool thing about owls is that their feathers help them fly silently. They are very quiet flyers. So we call this silent flight. So this is caused by their feathers being kind of a fuzzy. They're kind of like fuzzy feathers on the edge of their feather. And that fuzziness on the edge of the feather breaks up the vacuum when the feathers, wind cuts through the air and the air slams back together on the other side. When that air slams back together, it makes a noise. But when it's frayed or when it's kind of fuzzy or fluffy, that kind of breaks up that vacuum a little bit. I'm going to show you a little demonstration to show you how that works. I have a rope here that is just a regular rope, and then I have another rope here that is a little frayed. You see this rope has some frayed lines on it. So here's our regular rope, and here's our frayed rope. Now I'm going to swing around this regular rope and see if you can hear this. I don't know if the microphone can pick it up. Can you guys hear this? Yeah, so you can hear that a little bit. And then when you compare that sound to this frayed rope, I'll do the same thing with this frayed rope. I'll spin it around and see what you can hear when I spin around the frayed rope. Can you hear that? It's a lot more quiet. So this one is silent because it's frayed, and this one here is noisy. It makes that sound when it whistles through the air. That's the same structure that the owl feathers use to help them have silent flight as they're soaring through the forest. So their feathers have these frayed, kind of like eyelashes on the edge of their feathers as they're flying. So it helps them stay very quiet when they're trying to catch their prey. So that's kind of cool. Another thing that owls have that other birds don't have are its feet that capture prey are like claws. These are called talons. So you can see his talons here have these huge claws on them, and one of them even has a mouse in it. So you know this owl eats mice. So its eyes, its feathers, and its talons are just 3 key characteristics that kind of make it a little bit different than other birds. Today I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to make these owl calls. So if you don't remember anything else from today, just remember this: big owls hoot, little owls toot. So, but also a word of warning for you guys: if you're going to go out every night and do this owl call at the same time at the same place every night, you're going to scare those owls away. They might go to a different ecosystem and that's less productive or doesn't have, or another owl might eat it. So what you're basically doing when you do these owl calls is a territorial display. So if you go out every night in the same spot, they might leave. So it's important to only do it not in the same spot and not every night. It's always fun to kind of hear those owl calls and see if you can call them in towards you. It's a really cool experience. The best time of year to do this is between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's the best time to do it. So it's kind of cool, especially if you're a grandparent and you don't get to see your grandkids very often. It's a fun thing to do when they come home for the holidays and you know, load the kids up in the van and go owl calling. They'll remember that forever. So it's a fun thing to do. So, okay, big owls hoot, little owls toot. That's all you have to remember. And so if you're up in like Wisconsin next summer or something and you hear something that sounds like this, beep, 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 beep. Is that a hooter or a tooter? That's a tooter, so that's a little owl. A little owl makes that sound. That's from the saw-whet owl. Or if you're out in California sometime and you hear something like this, oh, 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 oh. Is that a hooter or a tooter? That's a hooter. So that's a big owl that makes that sound. So that's the great gray owl out in California. So in our area in Northwest Illinois, in Jo Daviess County, we have 3 owls that are most commonly heard and seen in this area. That's the barred owl, the great horned owl, and the screech owl. So I'm going to teach you these real quick. So the screech owl, this little guy here, the screech owl, he sounds like this. If you can whistle, you can whistle a little bit with a little bit of spit in your mouth, but if you can't whistle, you can go like this. Ee, ee, ee. So that's a eastern screech owl. We say eastern screech owl because there's also a western screech owl and it sounds a little different, totally different habitat. So eastern screech owl is the one that we have here in Northwest Illinois. Okay, our next owl is the barred owl, right here with the bars on its chest. That's where it gets its name, the barred owl. That one says, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all?" And it sounds like this. Hoo, 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 hoo. Hoo, 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 hoo. So, who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? You should try that if you're at home watching this right now. Go ahead and try making those owl calls. And the last one, the great horned owl, right over here. Right there, the great horned owl. So the great horned owl, he says long, short, 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 long, long. Sounds like this. Ooh, 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 oh, 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 oh. So that's the great horned owl. Great horned owl, so that's another really common one in our area. I actually live right along the river, the Mississippi River, and sometimes when I'm laying in bed at night, I can hear the great horned owl out my window, and I have to go outside and try to record it. And then I try to look for it too, up in the trees, up in my neighbor's trees. So it's kind of cool. Just keep your ears open for those sounds, and I bet you'll find an owl in your neighborhood. So those are the three sounds. So big owls hoot, little owls toot. That's all you have to remember. So no matter where you are, usually in the United States, in the North American continent, you can usually use that general rule of thumb. Big owls hoot and little owls toot. So I have a song for you that will help you remember that. Now, I'm going to ask ahead of time that you just kind of forgive me for my lack of musical talent, and it'll be entertaining nonetheless. So, this song is called Big Owls Hoot, Little Owls Toot. And so if you remember the calls that we just practiced, you can go ahead and make those calls when I do them in the song, okay? Here we go. Big owls hoot, little owls toot, have silent flight, come out at night, and make these sounds and sing this song. Ooh, this song, ooh, this song. Little screech owl, small as her hand, she lives in holes in a dead tree's stand. She lives in the country, or she lives in town. You can whistle and spit, you'll hear the sound. Ee! 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 Good job. Big owls hoot, little owls toot, have silent flight, come out at night, make these sounds and sing this song. Ooh, the song. Ooh, the song. The barn owl has tufts on her head. Has stripes the barn owl has stripes on her chest. She wears her feathers like striped vest. She's great in the kitchen. She likes to eat mice. She sings Who Cooks for You? Y'all sing it twice. Hoo, 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 hoo. 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 Big owls hoot, little owls toot, have silent flight, come out at night, make these sounds and sing this song. Ooh, the song. Ooh, the song. Great horned owl, has tufts on his head. Like these stunts while you're in bed. To attract a girl, he sings this song. Long, short to short, long and long. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. Big owls hoot, little owls toot, have silent flight, come out at night, make these sounds, and sing this song. And sing this song. Ooh, the sing along. Ooh, the sing along. So there we go. I hope you guys learned a little bit about how to make owl calls. And remember, if you go out and do this, the best time to do this is between Thanksgiving and Christmas, right around November and December. So this week is Earth Week. We talk about all of the parts of all of our ecosystems that try to keep us healthy. For humans and wildlife, we're all here on the same planet, and it's important that we take care of each other. So Thank you guys for joining this owl calling program. Remember to practice your owl calls and see if you can call one in towards you. So thanks for joining us, you guys. Let me know if you have any questions too. I can always answer your questions.